Everyone's.
Oh, good evening.
How's everybody doing, man?
Good evening.
Sound like somebody got an echo.
Yeah, it just started. Came kind of out of nowhere, didn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sure the production team will let us know who it is, and then if that person can mute their mic when they're not speaking, we'll be all gravy. Hopefully, it's not me, because I hate having to do that. What's good, man? Y'all all right?
Everything's good.
Everything good?
Muting your mic?
Am I muting mine?
You said
No, he said it hates to mute his mic.
Yeah. I hate to mute. Whenever it's me that's causing the echo,
okay.
I hate to, I went to public school, so having to multitask like that, it's a little, Steve, it's a little rough, when I got
I understand.
love to my cordless brethren, I'm not saying they didn't equip me for the next level. I'm just saying, Hey, man, I want to, hello, Anita T. I want to ask everyone watching if they would do us the favor of copying the URL and pasting it into your social media. Share the show so that we can continue to increase our viewership. And then our second church announcement is we want everybody to do what you can to come kick it with us in Virginia. It's about 10 days away, something like that.
Yeah,
about 10 days away. We're going to be down in Richmond partying and doing the show live from Richmond, and a lot of people have already shared, that they intend to come out and be with us, man. So that's real dope. And so if you can make the trip, reach out to somebody on the show for information on the Eventbrite tickets, and we would love to see you there.
Somebody wake up our producer and tell him to run that link.
Yeah, wake up the producer. Wake up! I can just holler. I guess he's awake since he just took Glenn out.
All right, that's in record time. That's the quickest
record time, yeah. And we don't have an intro for him this week, but this is a returning guest. We're glad to see him in all of his bald-headed fashion icon status. I used to see Steve moving around before he was on the show. I didn't know him, but he was noticeable. He's a cat you see, and you've seen him before, because his presentation was always tight. Always looked like he left the house and thought about it before he walked out. So always did somebody like that. Yeah, but welcome back to the show.
And I will drink to that. Welcome back and glad to be back, fellas. I was honored to be asked back for a second time, so it was my honor.
Hey, Steve, we'll drink to just about anything.
My man.
Mel, I don't know if you're taller than usual tonight, but I want to see the top of your head. So you leaving the camera on me. There you go. Mm-hmm. You're too good looking new for us to not see all of it. Hey, before we get going, anything on your mind? Anybody need to vent? Mel's drinking water, which I should be, because, man, this little weight thing got me going. I've been riding my bike and that kind of stuff, man. I went to put on something today, and I was like, man.
Yeah, we're going to have a weigh-in on April 29th. Be ready for the thing. I got to make weight to be able to go. So I'm expecting y'all to get it together.
Hey, man.
Hold on, Glenn. Are we the wrestling match?
I just need them in shape. I need it tight. I need it all tight. I need
man.
I need no buttons popping. I want to see.
I know where you're going with that, Glenn. I know where you're going. Oh, the pec popping.
Oh, yeah, there we go, man. Get them in shape. There you go. Good job. Get them ready.
Man, right now, when I get on the scale, a little message come up say 1 at a time, please.
One at a time. Robert, what were you lifting? You can't. That's not popping your pecs when you lift your.
Oh, okay. See,
Mel, would you please show Robert again what popping your pecs looks like? Yeah, see that, Robert? That's
Yeah. Okay.
I can do it as well, but I look more like a gifted woman when I do it.
That'd be a great advertisement for April 30th. This is what you get made. Pecs popping. Then you see Robert trying to lift his breast up, and it's like just totally throws it off.
Is this what happens when I take some time off?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
Well, I'm back, guys. So
thank you.
First of all,
First of all, let me just say thank you all for the birthday wishes. It's still my birthday. We're continuing the celebration. We're only halfway through the 6-week celebration for Aries. So I appreciate you all. The gifts you want to bless me with, you're still able to do it. You got until like May 15th.
It is not your
Thank
birthday.
May
It's still my
15th
birthday.
is far beyond Aries season.
It's
Well,
whatever sign.
but who's counting?
Who cares? Basically.
Yeah. We're
Hey,
done.
Sean, what's our first topic today?
Yeah. Right. We're done with your birthday, Glenn. Robert didn't try to bully his birthday for long.
Robert, is it still Aries season?
Hey man, check it out. Glenn, you sent me something not long ago, and I decided maybe we should kick the show off with that because it really irked me.
The I hate you, Sean text?
No,
Oh,
I'm not talking about the weekly.
stuff.
I'm not talking about the weekly text that you sent me reminding me how much you, all the disdain and discontent that I created.
This your last one.
Right.
You ain't gonna be hosting.
The dude that created, what was it? Confederate Month of Day?
Heritage Week. It's a mayor in Tennessee, someplace called Livingston, Tennessee. Never been there, don't know about it. But he's actually recognizing Confederate heritage. He, along with Mississippi, is doing it too, but it's Mississippi. But yeah, he is Sons of the Confederate, whatever it's called, Sons of the Confederacy, which is a real organization that has a charter and everything and raises funds as well as the Daughters of the Confederacy. They are recognizing Southern Heritage Month in April. And he signed a proclamation.
Do you know what their agenda is or what it is they're
Well, according
celebrating?
to them, they're celebrating the heritage of being descendants of Confederate soldiers, that they are not a racist group, they're anti-racist and everything else. But just the optics around the group marching around your town with the Confederate flags and Confederate outfits, think about that.
Oh, I don't have to. I mean, I think the shock to me, the shock and awe was the fact that it was a man of color that was championing it. You know, I expect that from somebody who's, you know, not a person of color, but but for to see somebody that looks like me championing that was pretty surprising for me. I don't, you know, I'd love to sit down and break bread with him and find out, you know, exactly where his head is in the time of critical race theory. And, you know, I was watching something today about how the guy who purchased the company that produces most of the math books is a guy who is basically removing any book that has critical race theory components to it. And so it's both a political move and a financial move, because not only does he own the company, but then he gets to dictate what they say is, you know, education that doesn't scare little white children.
Yeah, the state of Florida just removed, I think it was like 30% of their textbooks for that reason. Some of them math books. I'm not sure how math can be racial in nature. Yeah. You use an example of, you know, this black dude has 8 apples and this black girl has 3. How many apples do they have? That's the only thing I can think of that a math book would do that.
Yeah.
Probably the pictures of the.
But it's Florida. Nothing surprises me in Florida.
There are 3 little black children hanging from this tree, and there are 10 old white men standing in the field.
No, that would be heritage then.
How do we compute that?
Critical race theory.
Hey man, I wish I could play the video, but I was last night, man. I was kind of chilling and surfing, and I came across a video, man, that I really didn't know. I've gotten to the place now where, you know, I try to be open-minded and not let, you know, what triggers me or what I'm hypersensitive to have me introduce it to the show as good or bad. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to give it to you guys without trying to influence your perspective on it, right? And so I was watching the video, and a young lady was interviewing another young lady. I sent you guys a video earlier today, and she was asking her about the challenges that black women have with black men, and the woman basically said that black women are running circles around black men, so we don't really measure up to what black women are looking for. Black women are more successful financially, career wise, business wise, and they typically want to marry. She claimed that they want to marry black men, but there aren't black men that match those dynamics in the lives of most successful black women. And I just thought I'd offer that to you, and I just want your organic kind of response to whether or not you think that's valid or not. It's not football season, so I know we got Steve's focus. He ain't worried about what's going on with the Thursday night game.
No, when you said that, the first thing that came to my mind was what circle is she running in? Because if she's running in the proper circle where there are successful black men, she will find a plethora of men who actually are worthy, if you will, or to meet her criteria, if you will. Then you got to ask yourself, as I said, and I think Kevin was saying the best, he said, you got to ask yourself, why is all these bad black men out here? What about black men that you're choosing? That may be her problem.
Absolutely. It may be a self-indulgence, component. And I think that it's almost like, it almost felt like it was a cop-out, like, well, y'all really not doing enough for us. And even if that was true, every black woman, just like every black man, ain't out here killing the game. It's a whole lot of us, good black men, good black women, and we just on our grind. Doing what we can do. We're not all making $300K, every 6 months. Some of us are just we're honest, hardworking people, and success is relative. So Glenn, what do you think about that? Did you watch that clip at all?
Yeah,
it was something about her energy too, man. Steve, I wish you could have seen the clip because it was on a thread that you weren't on. But something even about her energy to me there was something about it.
I watched it. It sucked. I was triggered a little bit by it. Pissed me off. I'm just tired of women, some women, not all women, some women talking about what men aren't doing. That seems to be the prevailing thing, and the corner that a lot of people run to. And nobody looks at themselves. For the all men are dog women. Well, that makes you the dog catcher. If that's all you've ever been with is dogs, then you might need to change up your game. So you have to really think about what you're saying. For her, women are running circles around men. Then you're on a real small track field. You need to expand the track field you're running on if you're running circles around some man. And also maybe you're picking the men that you can run circles around. Sometimes we become what we complain about. So it's just, for the men not holding it down, we amplify that. And there was another clip, and I think Mel sent that one where the lady was talking about that. It's like we're always calling men on the carpet for stuff, but there are more men doing good things that we never recognize.
Yeah, I want to segue to that clip as well, but I want to hear from Mel and Robert on this issue before we move on. Do you think, Mel, that there's truth to that just with a broad stroke, sisters are just doing so much better that they can't find men that are, on their level, whether it be, and I thought it was interesting that the first criteria she listed was financial. But do you think that there's much merit to the fact that, successful sisters just can't find successful brothers because there aren't enough of them?
Well, I think that from an education standpoint, there are a lot more women that pursue advanced degrees than men. Just from my graduate studies, I've had more women in my class, black women in my class, than black men. So from that level, I do understand what she's talking about.
But you're also talking about a specific area you're talking about education specifically, right?
Well, overall, I mean, my degrees are not in education. What she said was, if there's a black woman with an MBA who's making $150,000 a year, she generally seeks somebody that's on her level or higher. That was her comment. And from an advanced degree perspective, especially at the PhD level, I would probably argue that there are more women that are pursuing those type of advanced degrees than men. from that standpoint. The other thing, though, is I think what it really depends on, and there's no cookie cutter answer to this. It all depends on what a person wants and how they feel fulfilled or gratified. There are situations, and I know situations where the man might be a school teacher, and that's his passion and his desire, and the woman could be in the C-suite at a company. So based on what they do for a living, she makes more money than him, but how he fulfills her is not from a financial standpoint. It's not a thing of do you make as much as me or what have you. And so it's just kind of up to the people to figure out what it is that they want. I've dated women that have made more money than me. And I've dated women that I've made more money than, and I never felt intimidated by a woman who made more money than me. It pushed me to grind a little different.
Exactly.
I appreciated the push, and she didn't look down upon me because the nature of my business or profession or whatever kind of dictated what I was making at the time, and the potential was there. So it never was a thing of, or she made this much and I made this much, and it was an issue. I think overall, though, there is some type of disparity, and we don't necessarily see it as much, because if you look statistically, what we'll see in data is that men get paid more than women for the same position, right? Statistically, that's what the data says. What we don't see is how many more Black women are in those positions in comparison to Black men. So it might be more Black women at a VP or C-suite level in comparison to Black men that might be in a management level, not necessarily at the C-suite level, or middle management, upper management level. So that disparity could be there. How people deal with love, I think, is completely up to them. I don't really have an opinion on what she said per se. People want what they want, and to a certain degree or extent, they might feel that, hey, if his grind isn't like mine or whatever, I don't want to be with. She got a right to feel the way she want to feel.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, since we were talking about the education piece and the MBA piece, and that was what she cited. Robert, I'm coming your way. So, but there are a lot of people that are doing well that just don't have MBAs. They might,
That's
they
true,
might
too.
work. Yeah, they might work in an area where formal education wasn't the key to their
That's true, too.
success. And then I wonder if those people aren't looked down upon. Because if it's about the revenue piece, there are people that are making, the revenue equivalent to what you're making. They just went a different route.
Yeah.
And
There are
so,
people with bachelor's degrees that are managing $1 million businesses.
absolutely. And so I
So
was going to say,
for you to assign, for her to assign qualifications to that, it was like I went to a club one time. It was a steppers club, and the girl was like, the guy asked the girl to dance, and she was like, well, can you step and can you do this? He's like, do I need to pull out a piece of paper to prove to you that I took
do you need a certificate from my stepping class?
Yeah,
Right.
do I need to pull out a certificate just to dance with you? And that's what it feels like. Does he need to bring his diplomas with him to the date?
I think what she was talking to, though, was I don't think that she was saying overall education and finance. I think it was more of a financial ideology than an educational ideology. And she was just giving the example of how many more women are pursuing advanced degrees and getting.
Right.
Yeah.
But my point is, it's compartmentalized thinking.
I can be sensitive
from your
hey,
perspective and your level of dating, your level of choice, your level of selection. All of that comes back to the key word is you. You triggered whatever is going on in your life. You're the catalyst for it. If I date loose women, it's because I chased loose women down. I didn't, never have. Everybody I dated was very nice and upstanding. Just put that out there. But
A little disclaimer.
I come with disclaimers. I'm a walking disclaimer.
I think I was a bit more sensitive to some of her comments because of her getting to the place where she talked about the Black women running circles around Black men. That something about the way she delivered that to me felt more like she had an issue with men period, and that she might be a little self-indulgent in terms of how she viewed her own level of success. And because I don't think people really realize that, man. We come across it in the dating scene, and we spot it quickly when people are weaponizing their own success. But you get that in Target. You know, people who think they've done well and have decided they can treat you however they want to treat you simply because, you know, they have this much education or their job pays them this much. I remember I was shooting an event and there was a judge and Mel, he happened to be a noob. I didn't know him at the time, but there was a judge. And I remember thinking that he was just so pompous and stank, you know, the whole time. And at the time I didn't know that he was a judge. And I ended up later dating a relative of his. And when his picture came across something we were looking at, she was like, "Oh, that's my cousin." I'm like, "Oh, he was so stank," you know. And she was like, "He's been that way ever since he's been a judge. Like as soon as he got that, you know, those letters behind his name, it kind of changed the whole way he engaged people." And I was like, that's one of my little sore spots is people that, you know, think they're better than somebody because they have a good job, or you know what I'm saying, or nobody's saying you didn't work hard. And I was gonna say to Mel, I'm like, if any babe has an issue, it's clear that you're a hard worker. You know what I'm saying? So even if I was dating a lady who only made $35,000 a year, if I can look at her and see that she's a hard worker, she works hard and takes her job seriously and does it with honor, I respect that. You know, I'm gonna respect that about her. You know. So I think that it's just tragic to me that we've weaponized our own success in such a way that it comes into.
I want to chime in on that when you said that because it seems like if we as men bring up, elevate a woman who may not have the right education. Me coming from corporate, I have multiple degrees. I decided to leave corporate over my own business. My whole thing was, but if I want to bring something up who's not on my same level, my question is, what's your grind? I was like, and I asked one woman one time, I said, if I show you how, not that I'm going to give you anything, if I show you how to succeed, if I show you how to get it, would you listen? And I said, if I lead, would you follow? She said, absolutely. And this woman now is getting her PhD in nursing just because she was talking about a situation with me about her bills. And I was listening to her and she was talking about she smoked weed. And I'm like, okay. She said, but she pays her weed guy $65 a week. So I pull out my calculator, I'm adding this up. I said, so you give this guy X amount of money a month and X amount of money a year, and you don't have $25 in your checking account or savings account. I'm like, so you paying him, but you don't pay yourself. And she got really quiet. But it's just no one had presented to her in that way to make her thinking like, okay, well, this guy's showing me a different way. And I said, I have no problems with you doing this as long as you really put the work in, as we all are. We'll put the work in. And I put this on Facebook beginning of the year. I said, are we willing to work for what we pray for? I said, so women talk about all the time, about what men's not doing. They don't even know the grind that we're in or the things that we face and that we challenged with. And for that lady to say it on that piece that Glenn was speaking of, when she's talking about men, when you talking about the broad stroke on the canvas, you're talking about all men. You haven't been around all men. Just talk about the men that you've been around.
Man, Steve, that drives me crazy, man.
Exactly. That's why I have to go back to the analogy of that Cat Williams piece when he said, you have to say, don't get mad at your men. Talk about the men that you have attracted and the men that you have been going to, because maybe it's not the men. Maybe, perhaps, it's you.
And that's a real thing, because people don't realize that there is an innate dynamic where people basically choose wounded birds.
Absolutely.
They choose people that they can save because they have a saving mentality. And so, they already are vilifying you, even though you're what feeds them, but they choose you because you have a broken wing, and then they want to take all the credit for you finally being able to fly. That's really the whole process for them. You know what I'm saying?
Or shall be the victim when something goes wrong, aka Halle Berry when she got mad at Eric Benet, when Eric Benet told her from the beginning that he had a sex issue. But you say, hey, I'm Halle Berry, I can take care of this. Then you get on Oprah and talk about, oh, well, he did this. I said, but the man told you from the beginning. You just didn't want to listen. If you were listening, he told you, hey, I have a sex issue. I like sex from a lot of different people, not just you, just because you Halle Berry. But you didn't want to listen to that. Then you want to feel like you're playing the victim. I'm like, you can't have it both ways.
Absolutely. Rob, I ain't forgot about you, man. Talk to me. What are you've heard 15 different takes on it. So
brother, I'm good in the cut. I mean, I think let's put things in perspective. First of all, he's a dating coach. So we didn't talk about that. That's what she does. So
I wouldn't want her as my coach, but
yeah. So we're talking about a dating coach that is using sound bites to get people in so that she can save them. So so using the message, the education piece of it, the monetary piece of it as well, is something that women or people listen to. I mean, it tickles the ear. Mel brought a perspective on it in terms of numbers, in terms of how many different nationalities or men or women are in PhD classes. I think that there's something there as well. For me, when I was in management, I would not see a number of men in the classes or in the areas that I was in. And Steve knows I made a decent amount of money in corporate, so there are not a lot of us. So maybe she has some truth to that in terms of we're not showing up, but we all took different paths. I started in the mailroom back in the day when I started in corporate. So I kind of do like the Chris Rock in Boomerang. I'm pushing a mail cart, and then I move up. But and so now it's a difference. But I think everyone has said it. It's all about the circle that you keep. If you are good and you are the most educated, the polished person in your circle, just in your small circle, what can you expect?
Right.
That's it. I'm done. That was quick. I'm not triggered or anything.
I think that's a big problem, man, that exists in the world, and I try not to do it. Is that you can't take a snapshot of your life and then paint the world with the stroke of that brush, because what you've experienced is such a drop in the bucket of all there is that life has to offer or for you to experience in life. And so because it makes me ache when I see people do it, I try to be hypersensitive about doing it myself. But you can't take a snapshot and then act like it represents the entire world. It's such a small piece of
Also, we get vilified if we sat around and talked about, well, I've been running circles around all the women I dated, and ain't nobody on my level.
You ain't never dated nobody as successful as me.
Yeah, and I make $175,000 a year, and I haven't met anybody that can match me in my businesses and my corporate. And Mel, you can't sit up there like I'm $1 million earner, and she needs to be at $1 million, and we get vilified for that.
And not only that, you reduce the pickings greatly.
Yeah,
when you do that, and
I've shortened the list pretty damn quick.
You muted, Steve. Come on back.
Steve.
Unmute me.
You got your mute on, Steve. You're on mute.
It's funny that you said Shotgun, because I remember when I told everybody that I was old, I had my own cleaning business. And they go, oh, you're doing this so. But it's this earlier this year, as soon as I got that CBS News feature, and they ran me for a week and a half. Now all of a sudden I'm the best thing since sliced bread. I'm like, wait a minute. I said, but I was doing the same thing 8 years ago. The grind was true. I said, now after I put in the game, I put my skin in the game, and now I'm bearing the fruit of my labor. Now you want to say talk about I'm the same guy.
Yeah, but you got like some second thought chicks. They take a second look at him like, ooh, Steve.
Well, but see, I think, Steve, you work in an industry where someone here is cleaning business, and they don't know what that looks like. They don't know what it looks like in the tangible. They don't know what it looks like as far as revenue is concerned.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And so then they get a different perspective of it, right? And they go, wait a minute. I had an experience one time where somebody did not know that I performed live musically. Mm-hmm. And I had a show. I hadn't had a show in quite a while. And I had this show, and there were so many people there, they had to go get seats and bring them in from the basement because it was standing room only. And this was somebody who had access to me on that level, but was choosing not to utilize me.
Sure.
And I remember somebody pulling me to the side and going, they had to recalibrate because they had decided who you were and what your value was in that space. And then they saw it play out and realized that it was very different than they had decided it was. And so I think that people could very easily be deceived just by the word cleaning and not realize how successful you might be in that space. And then they see it. And I would imagine for you, it's got to be hard to not to be resentful, because I know you're quick enough to know when people have mislabeled you. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. And then they go, oh, wait a minute, he's not what I thought, or this is a lot more lucrative than I realized it was.
I prescribe to the Mike Jones spirit. First you didn't want me, now you're all up on me.
Right. And with that in mind, it's a great segue because I sent you guys. We're about halfway through, guys. I sent you that clip, but then the following clip was the one about the lady who goes out of her way to defend black men and all of the drama that she gets simply because she tries to uplift, defend, speak positive about us. And so I find it very, very fascinating that we have this constant duality. We have what seems like our own that are on the attack when it comes to us, and then we have those that go, these guys get beat and dragged, on the daily. Can we love on them a little bit?
Right. But you have to be, and no woman can walk in a man's shoes that has to sit through corporate America and has to see the slights and has to go through the microaggressions. And I know women get them too. But as a man, just by the fact that the herd is a lot thinner or the population is a lot thinner at that level, and Robert, you can speak to this too from a corporate America standpoint. We used to call it Jackie Robinson syndrome when I was at Leo Burnett. You were either the first or the only in almost every room and every meeting.
Absolutely. And I worked in the law field. I was at major law firms. Yeah. I was always the only.
Yeah. So I worked in advertisement and payments. You don't see them. There was only like one executive that looked like me when I was
at a major company.
Yeah, I was at a major company. I worked for several Fortune 50.
Yeah, all the major companies. Yeah. I'm winning Diamond Club, Circle of Excellence trips, and things like that. Yeah. And there was probably only one or two of me that were there. But here's the interesting thing. You just triggered something for me. So let me just say this real quick. Real quick. I ain't gonna be long. This ain't church. Let me just do this. Going to those Diamond Club trips. So here's the thing. What's interesting is the senior vice presidents are all, Caucasian. Mm-hmm. And so one of the senior vice presidents says to me, he says, so what's your name? I said, well, it's Robert Hazen. He's like, you work for me? I said, yeah, I've been with the company for, at that point, it was over 14 years. And I had been to all of those trips before, but it was just that.
Yeah, but think about the days before LinkedIn when people couldn't see you. So I have a nondescript name, Glenn Murray. You're expecting some Irish dude walking in there.
Okay,
or Jewish.
You say that. I'm sitting in a partner's office at Kirkland and Ellis.
Yeah.
And the major firm, and this guy, another partner, comes in and he says he was discussing something. Mind you, in the case we're working on, my team is heading the case. And he asked the other partner why. He said, can we talk in front of him and the partner? He said, excuse me. He said, this is Steve James. He runs the case. He said, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I forgot work here. I'm like, I'm here. I got a corner office. I'm like, what are you talking about? And that just blew me away because they see you, but they don't see you.
So here's the point. This is the reason why I mentioned that is because sometimes, ladies, when we come home, we want to exalt you. We want to, promote, love you for doing what you do to be successful in your careers.
I'm Steve James.
Uh-oh.
Exactly.
There's a new saying. Here we go.
That was pretty good. I can't even lie. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. That was
And Steve has been this way ever since high school. So yeah. I mean, so the whole thing is they don't. Sometimes I think women don't necessarily understand the pressure that we go through as we're holding these positions within corporate America, because we're getting our ass kicked, every day.
So Robert, I hate to jump in here, but I want to ask you something.
No, you don't. You don't hate.
No, I really do. I want to ask, because all right, don't make me come for you now. I want to ask you this, and it has something to do with some of the previous conversations. But I've always been one. You said something that just made me want to ask all of you guys this question. So we were talking earlier about, Mel was mentioning how it's disproportionate in terms of the number of ladies that he sees in postgraduate programs and that kind of thing. I've always had a belief that in the process of systemic racism, there is an intentional move to elevate the woman quicker than the man, because that creates a dynamic where you have to have a woman grounded enough to be the breadwinner in the home if the man is facing limited opportunities, and not emasculate that man and ultimately break down the structure of the family. I've always thought there was a systemic angle to that. And I want to know if you guys ever feel that way. Do you think that there is I don't want to say easier road, because I don't want sisters to think I'm at all taking away from the work that they've done and the education that they have and the commitments that they've had. I'm not at all doing that, so please don't write letters, because that's not what I'm saying. But I've always been curious about whether or not Mel and Mo, with the exact same credentials, could get to a fork in the road, and Mo get the call to the next level because of what Mel represents. You understand what I'm saying? In terms of him being a more threatening presence because at the end of the day, this is a whole lot of rich old white guys that don't want to lose this perception of what they think they have. And I think that they oftentimes see the black woman as a less threatening elevation in that structure. Do you think that there is any validity to that? And I often think that we're fighting that, and sisters don't know that we're fighting that, and so they don't incorporate that into the way they process our struggle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Glenn, what do you think?
I think it really depends on the corporate culture. It's very hard to say, yes, this company does that, this company doesn't. Because depending on your manager, if you work in corporate America, it really depends on your manager and how your manager supports you and how your manager pushes you and how your manager develops you. If you don't have a mentor, then your manager, you're extremely dependent on your manager. And even when you have a mentor, sometimes your manager holds that key, or the head of your organization. So it's how they elevate their talent. One of the stupidest things said, Wells Fargo's CEO said that they didn't promote black and brown talent because they didn't have any in the pipeline. You should have lost your job right there, because your first job is to make sure that
there's diversity, that there are diverse candidates, right?
Yeah, you should not have attained the level of CEO and said something that's stupid.
Yeah,
because that was stupid.
Yeah,
most companies would have removed him. Like when I worked at GE, it was all about promoting the best talent. So you had to go in there and literally run over your mother to get the promotion, but it didn't matter. If you ran over, you got a promotion. It didn't matter what you looked like. It promoted from within. And most of the companies, I've been lucky to say, most of them have been that way. But it depends on who's in your manager and who's in your organizations. There are organizations that have held people down, and that it's black, brown, and women in general too. It's not even just black and brown, men and women. Sometimes it's women in general. It's a good old boys network. And sometimes if you're black and you're a man, you can be a good old boy too. Yeah. So you have to learn once you get in the good old boy network, it feels good to be in there.
It
I'm
does.
sure. Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
good to be
It
the
does
king.
until they
Steve,
keep
good to be
Steve, you look
available.
like you had something you want to
I
share,
will
Steve.
say just from my perspective, all my corporate experience has all been in the legal field. I will say from either being private practice or the public sector. When I worked at the Securities and Exchange Commission, they felt it was easier to, because of the whole diversity situation. It was easier to, because they felt they could kill two birds with one
Two birds
stone.
with one stone.
Another woman,
Black and a woman. Yep.
black woman, and then she's a woman, and then discard the black man. So there were many, many times that black men got passed over, not because they wasn't qualified, but they figured, hey, you know what? I can probably control.
They're trying to check boxes, Steve. They're trying to check boxes, and they can
Absolutely.
check two
But not
boxes
trying, not
at one
trying.
time.
That's what they were doing. They wasn't trying to do it, but and also what they were doing, they felt that their challenge, the challenge coming from a black woman was going to be a little less than coming from the black man. Is when Glenn mentioned about the whole, and I think Sean, you said it too, about saying that white men are being intimidated by the black man. That was always the case. And if you were strong, if you were smart, girl, skill, then you were rapperizers, you were an agitator, this type of thing. So what they always did was promote the black woman and put her, because they figured they were killing two birds with a stone, and then just say, oh yeah, well, you know what, the black man, his promotion's coming up, so and so, and some people would take it, some people wouldn't. I, on the other hand, I've always, and Robert's known me since we were in high school, I've never been one to not close my mouth. My mother and father always told me closed mouths don't get fed. So my thing, I always spoke up for me, and I felt that something was going on, and more often than not, I got exactly what I wanted, because not only because I deserved it, but I earned it. And so if I earned it, you were going to give it to me. Otherwise, it's going to be it was going to be a misunderstanding.
Absolutely, some furniture moving. Mel,
Absolutely.
Mel, what do you got for me, man? What are you hearing? I saw that you agreed with the double checking that Steve mentioned. You get to check off two boxes, but do you think that is an intentional systemic move when it comes to and I know it's weighty to say it, but I'm just saying it because I want to say it. The destruction of the black family. I mean, I believe there's an attack on that family, on that aspect of our world, and I think that's a crafty way to go about it. Personally,
Yeah, I haven't put that much thought into that part of it, but the check two boxes part, the women are less threatening part, and if you advance into those higher positions, and dollar for dollar, they get paid less for the same position. So from a budgeting standpoint, it would be easier to say, all right, well, I got Mel and I got Keisha. We could advance Keisha and pay her 120. If we advance Mel, he's going to be asking for at least 135, if not more.
Yeah.
So,
but there's a correction coming with that. With the Great Resignation, you're seeing now there's 100 jobs out there and 80 people to fill them. So people are learning to ask for their value. There was a post, and I can't remember. I think Keisha talked about it, or somebody talked about it, where this HR person talked about a woman who asked for a job, and she only asked for, and I'm making this up, but like $70,000, but it was a $100,000 job, and she gave her 70, and was like, "Oh, you need to learn your worth." Well, you're an HR rep. You need to be able to tell her to do that. And it was she was an African American woman, it was an African American applicant, and she didn't tell her that. So that's an issue. So when you see people like that, that's why you need to understand your worth. And now you're starting to see that. So now it doesn't matter as much the race, it matters the talent, and if you can do the job, because now people need to fill those positions.
Absolutely.
With all that,
there's a bit of a change, there's a bit of a shift in that, and I'm seeing it more in like financial services and payments, because it's really about getting the talent in. Now, you don't get that consternation about who you're hiring if they've got the bona fides to do the job.
With all that we're facing, man, you would think that you would see more of a desire to help along and to take one with you. And we're not really seeing that. Robert, I wanted to hear from you, Robert, before we transition from this, because I know you have a wealth of consulting and stuff. And what have you seen, and what would you share?
Well, it's funny that you say that. Being in corporate America and I was in banking before technology.
Yeah.
And it was a little different. They wanted to keep, I was actually, as I said, in limited, there weren't a whole lot of African Americans in managerial positions. So even when the company was going through a restructuring, the Caucasian people came to me and said, "Hey, you're safe. We know you have a family. We're gonna protect you. You're good," which is not something that you would expect, right? Because but it's maybe I was in the house, so because being in the house, I felt they felt safe around me, so they allowed me to keep those positions, which is unfair, potentially, because there were, they could have promoted some other women to take on that position. The last thing I'll say about that is, though, when you talked about it, Glenn, is we need to know our worth, our value, because there have been many times that I've posted for jobs and things like that, and I only asked for 120,000, and as you said, Glenn, the position was 170.
Right.
Where somebody
Right.
else came behind, and they're like, "No, I want 180. Let's talk about
Right.
it, negotiate."
People pay you for the value you bring, not for the work you do.
Yeah, but we don't know.
You can work 60 hours at a $60,000 a year job, and you're going to make $60,000 a year.
Yep.
You can work half the time and have a value that you bring that makes that company more money and make double, triple that and make bonuses and everything else. So you need to understand your value and your value proposition. Your value proposition, you talk about businesses having a value proposition. Everybody needs to have a personal value proposition.
Everybody.
And understand what they're worth and what their abilities can make that company. Because whatever they're offering you, it's a fraction of what you can make them. So make sure that fraction is in the 100,000s before you ever think about, taking that job, and look around and see what other people are making.
So here's the value with that, Glenn, with that statement that goes back to the Pope lady that is a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Those are things that we bring together. If we're working together as partners, and me and her, we can talk about those things, so that when she goes to interview for, I helped coach my whatever with going to different jobs, but it's because of that whole, we're a team, we're working together to get each of us to the next level. But if you can get to the next level, boom, go to the next level.
Right.
Then when it's my turn to get to the next level, I need your support to help me.
Your support. Yeah.
That's the whole thing. That's the thing about teaming, because money is fleeting, and we're on the other side. At least I'm on the other side of 50. So it's, I don't have a whole lot of time left. So I need a partner who's gonna work with me, and in that.
Hey man, you guys have been amazing. We only got about 7 minutes left, and I want to ask. I want to lighten the mood, Steve, for just a hot second. And anybody see Mike Tyson hit that boy on the plane?
That's lightening the mood.
That's lightening the mood.
Hey, it was funny as hell to me. So
Yeah.
I mean, I saw this newscaster who I just knew. He was giving me the vibe that he was getting ready to go in on Mike, and he was like, "You play stupid games, you get stupid prizes." And I was like, very true. Like, I know you're drunk and I know you think you're privileged, but of all the people in the world, why would you? Why would you agitate this man?
Not to mention the fact that Mike tried to give him a pass, and he still wouldn't stop.
Steve, he tried. He warmed down. He warmed down till Mike finally got up and gave him that 2-piece spicy. Pop, pop, pop.
2-piece
And
spicy.
yeah, man. And I'm just like, and of course, you have a whole bunch of people, man, that, and Lord knows I'm not willing to talk about that, but you have a whole bunch of people that are trying to make a connection between that and the whole Will Smith thing.
You were really bothering him too, because he was sitting behind him.
Yeah.
You know how difficult it is to bother somebody in a seat in front of you on a plane?
Right.
I don't even think about the person in front of me. I don't care who you are. I've been on a plane with Tyson before, actually, one day going to Vegas from Chicago. But I didn't want to talk to him, but nothing. I had no desire to at all.
My question is, who was that sitting next to Mike? Like, was Mike by himself? It seems like if there was like a handler or something with Mike, the person would have, got with the flight attendants or somebody and said, "Hey, my man is drunk and he's really barking up the wrong tree," in a way that you don't even understand. TJ just, that was perfectly timed. TJ, she brought up the old Will Smith song, I think I can beat Mike Tyson. That was perfect, TJ. But yeah, man, I thought that was just so funny. And then, of course, he's now trying to press charges, which, you know, as justified as I think Mike was, that's when you hope that you can find this miraculous restraint, just so that you don't give this person what they may have been looking for, you know, to begin with. He may have seen the whole thing as it was going down. He may have been thinking, payday. If I can incite this dude to put his hands on me, you know, I'm getting ready to be rich. You know, I don't know, man. I thought it was quite comical because I kept seeing clips that didn't show Mike hitting him. And I was like, Mike didn't hit him until finally I saw him.
He reached over.
He was over that back seat. I was like, oh man. Robert, would you agitate Iron Mike, man, on the plane?
Not at all. Yeah, you know,
There's something about flying on a plane.
I know,
You don't want to be bothered.
you just sometimes, man, I just want to go to sleep.
Yeah, I just want to sleep.
Indeed. Hey, man, we got about 3 minutes, man. Steve James. I'm Steve James. Man. Okay, I can't say that. That's the new saying.
So much again for inviting. You know what? It's always a pleasure. This is a beautiful segment. I love what you all are doing. And I am just honored guest to be on here. And anytime you all ask me to come on, I would be more than happy to oblige. This is really good. I like it.
Hey, man, well, I hope you understand.
Black men doing positive, talking about positive things and speaking and really can articulate ourselves in the most positive way. That's a beautiful thing.
I hope you understand, man, that to have you back says a lot about what we think of you.
Thank you.
And what we think of your contribution. It ain't just because you good friends with Robert. That's the lowest part of it right there.
Oh my God!
That actually would have eliminated you.
Yeah, that could have eliminated you. But we've been given a few more minutes, man, and with that time in that, Steve, I want you to, if there's anything, man, that you're doing other than, you know, out here being a successful businessman like we know you are, if there's anything that you want to promote, man, or share with the people where they can support you and find you, if there's a website or anything like that.
Well, absolutely. Thank you so much. Actually, Robert is in this team of really developing my website now. But if you're looking for any type of residential commercial cleaning business, please give me a call at 312-779-5695. My office is located at 1720 East 87th Street. Please, Smelly Fresh LLC is the name of my company. And like I said again, if you check on Channel 2, with the Channel 2 thing is called the morning show. I was featured in January for over a week and a half. I have contracts with CTA and RPM, and so I'm running the only male black vendor who actually has that RPM Phase 1 contract. And I was honored to have that. So they said, hey, you know, we want to run this show on him. And since they've done that, my business has grown 100-fold. You know, it was successful before, but it's really, really booming now. But I'm still humble. I'm still thankful. And I tell people all the time, none of this is me. This is all God. When I screw up, it's me 100%. I said, but God is not the screw up business. Any the blessings that I get, I give it all to him and I'll pray to him, because none of my success is me. It's all him. I'm just following his lead, and I'm just sitting back and I'm driving. I'm sitting back watching him drive. I'm the passenger. But I thank you all for giving me a chance to even promote my business and even be amongst very dynamic black men. And this to me, this is a blessing. No offense.
Hey man, I think you should, going forward, all of your invoices at the bottom should say, "Stank you smelling much." That's right. Thank you smelling much. Mel Rob, we got a few minutes, man. You have been moving around and doing some things that have taken you away from the show, even for some Thursdays, man. Is there anything going on that you want to let anybody know that you're doing? I know you got TV shows and some appearances probably coming up on some of these Chicago-based shows. And what's going on with you, man?
Well, no, not on the Chicago shows. I've been doing sketch comedy shows at the Annoyance Theater on the North Side. So sometimes I run include a Thursday show. So, you know, sketch comedy has been the thing, man. These skits, these Saturday Night Live type things. So just been doing that, man, and then building my business.
Do you dig that, man? Do you dig the comedy format? I don't really see you as a comedy cat, but do you, do you dig that?
Yeah.
I know it has to keep you sharp because it's like
Have you heard him
improv and you
tell
have
jokes?
to, you have to. Well, no, I didn't. When I say he's not funny, now he can talk about you and make you want to go get in the bed. He can signify.
Right.
I'm not saying that. He can, I don't fool with him because he go personal. He be like, that's why,
coming for you
look, that's
next.
why you ain't been hugged since you was a baby. He'll come at you hard. But just in terms of, like sitcom kind of stuff, I didn't know if you had a love for that.
Yeah, I used to be part of an improv comedy troupe that performed at the Apollo Theater on the North Side regularly. So yeah, I mean, I do it all. The versatility of it all, man. It's always fun, man, to see how much range you actually have. At some point in time, I think I'm gonna tackle some Shakespearean classes and do some of that stuff too. So I'm looking forward to just diversifying, building my business, and loving my lady.
I've heard a lot of successful
Great.
people that live in that work in primarily in comedy. That's how they discovered it. That wasn't their goal. They ended up doing something like some sketch comedy or something like that, and just what it took and the skill set that it took is something that they just gravitated to and realized that that's kind of really where they wanted to be, which I would imagine is why some people prefer theater than they do, movies and TV because of the live. It's a one-shot deal. For me, it's the difference between performing live and going into a studio. It's a different experience, man. And I've told your lady this before. I always love a black man who's unashamed to celebrate his lady. And I'm always going to give you love for the way you love your lady publicly, brother. That's just me to you. I enjoy that. I think they need that from us, Mel. And I think the more of us that are willing to do that. I've had some weird experiences, man. I'll never forget, I was doing a show. I may have told the story before. I was doing a show, and a guy I know, man, he was recently engaged, and his fiance was somebody to have. You understand me? I mean, she was a dope chick from A to Z, whether you were just looking at her or talking to her. She was all that in a bag of chips. And he walked in, and I was on stage, and in the break, I shouted them out, and I said, hey, such and such coming in, newly engaged, celebrating black love, and that cat pulled me to the side and was like, hey, man, why you put me on blast like that? Like it's other women in here. And I was like, oh my God, she's getting a piece of trash. And I didn't realize that she was getting a piece of trash.
Yeah, and I think this production team, let's save this for another show too. I think there's some interesting concepts when it comes to public displays of affection and the need to publicize everything on Facebook, social media, and all of that other stuff. Because we were underground for a really long time.
Yeah.
Getting to know each other and building our own thing before we even went public with it.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something I'd like to talk about on another show.
I want to, and I know we're running out of time, and that's what makes me have that much more respect for you in that space, because I knew when it wasn't public.
Yeah.
And then once you guys decided you were ready to take that turn, you took it unashamedly.
Yeah.
And that's a very different thing than a lot of people, do in terms of trying to keep their stuff. Let's be honest, some people keep it secret because it benefits them. That's just in a different way. But hey, man, I love y'all. Steve, don't leave. Meet us in the green room. You guys have been amazing like you are every single week. Don't forget, guys, we're hoping that you'll come and meet us in Richmond, Virginia on April 30th. I don't know what Robert Hazard is laughing at right now. I don't trust him very much. I just want y'all to know real quick. Come on, the production team is laughing. All right. I just want you to know I'll be watching you. Hey, man, until next Thursday at 9, thank you, Steve James. It's been live from the cave, and we'll see you next week for sure.
Camped out at home for COVID? Join us, Indie TV, where you will see the talk shows, movies, drama, action, and comedy. Be the first and see it first. Sign up now for free at Indie TV.